Good morning. Welcome to Thursday, August 6th here with Canopy. We are kicking off our Canopy Cafe this morning with two amazing guests. Amy Shir, President and CEO of LHOME, and Kitty McKune, Chief Realization and Legal Officer from New Directions. And I am so thrilled to bring these amazing ladies onto the show to talk about all the good that they're doing here in our community. We have a lot to talk about today, and also we have some fun reminders and things that are happening in the Canopy world this afternoon. So we'll be excited to share those details with you momentarily. But without further ado, welcome Amy and Kitty.
Great to be here.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, ladies. Happy Thursday morning.
Same to you. We're almost through another week.
I know. That's amazing. Can you believe it's August?
No, I can't. I mean, wasn't it just February? I'm pretty sure it was.
It was. Absolutely.
I like the cooler temperatures. I cannot lie.
That's true. But I'm beginning to feel like Rapunzel. Either that or Rumpelstiltskin. I can't decide which. So
Absolutely Rapunzel. There is no Rumpelstiltskin. Well, I know that you have this amazing video that kind of brings into all of the feelings and the emotion and gives a little bit of background about what you guys are working on. Can we go ahead and show that first?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Awesome.
Living there. He did the best he could. And honestly, I just thought that was the way life was, the way you lived growing up. I just thought you just managed, and something like this for me it's a big deal.
Oops.
I think we might be having a technical difficulty.
We missed the very beginning of it.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
I was born and raised in Portland. I've lived down here all my life. I was actually born, like I said, on Portland Avenue. It's home to me. We didn't have a lot growing up, like I said. I mean, we had a 2-bedroom house with 8 kids and my dad and my nephew living there. He did the best he could. And honestly, I just thought that was the way life was, the way you lived growing up. I just thought you just managed, and something like this for me it's a big deal.
She came in to interview and interviewed very, very well. So we hired her as a cashier very quickly. She moved into an office cashier position, and from that, an assistant manager.
And I've been in management for the past almost 3 years. It's always a new challenge. I like the people. I like the customers.
She was able to go into generally any department in the store and fill in if she needed to. So she was quick to learn and wanted to learn all she could.
You have to have a bit of a spark to want to do this, right? And go to the classes and work on credit and work on your finances and work on savings and have a forward-thinking mentality. And Jennifer had that spark.
I went mentally through everyone in the store, but Jennifer stood out because of her work ethic. And I thought to have the tenacity to do what it takes to get there, because it's a long process.
I didn't really believe it when he asked me, would you like to ever own a house? I said, yeah. And we kind of went our own ways. And then he just kept following up with it.
We still had the hurdle of finding the house and finding a bank that would lend on the house.
We wanted to help out. So we started looking for some homes to remodel and find candidates like Jennifer to take those homes.
When I initially saw the house, I didn't know what to think. Like I said, it was a shell. It was dirt everywhere, holes in the walls, floors.
Everything in the house had to be gutted, from Every wall had to be exposed from inside, outside, short of a few studs in the walls, a few floor joists. Everything was replaced.
I was excited, but then kind of just, I don't know, just in my own mind, leery of how it would turn out. And I'm really surprised. I'm amazed. My message is for anyone looking to buy a home through this program. Stick with it, do what you can. I mean, it just can be time consuming, but I mean, it's all worth it in the long run.
She has a 9-year-old grandson that she's very close to, so it gives her the opportunity to have her very own home, have her family over. It's just very heartwarming.
For me, it's stability. I mean, know that I'll always have a place to go to, and that if my daughter or my grandson ever needed, a roof over their head, they could come here. It makes me feel better to know that, I'm some kind of a safety net for them.
Jennifer's already talked about the safety net for her daughter and her grandchild, right? So that's 3 generations of intergenerational wealth building because of this purchase, of this asset, of this home.
I appreciate everything. Thank them from, the bottom of my heart for believing in me, giving me an opportunity. Don't even know if I can put it into words. I'm just very grateful.
Wow. That
I'll bet everybody watching us right now got teary-eyed.
How can you not?
Every time I watch this, my eyes water.
Yeah.
incredible. So tell me a little bit about how working your way home came to be.
Kitty?
Well, I think it's a great story of teamwork and of collaboration. So I come from a world at New Directions, where New Directions works on, really their mission is to develop and maintain affordable housing in partnerships to create vital communities with neighborhoods. And we work with other stakeholders to do that. So a lot of this is really building blocks. It's creating relationships and taking the resources and the talents of one organization and connecting with the other one and sort of connecting the dots. So New Directions is involved with LHOME, which is a CDFI, which is sort of like a nonprofit bank. And Amy will explain a little bit more about that. And we were presented with this opportunity through Access Ventures in terms of the Reconstruct Challenge. And it's designed to basically do something in Louisville that helps with housing insecurity. How do you actually move the dial? And so we began looking at, who needs to be a part of this project. And actually, Andrew Hawes, who is CEO of the Housing Partnership, that's also involved in LHOME and is on the board of directors, actually came up with this idea. As we were at our board meeting and the deadline and everything was approaching, Amy was underwater on a bunch of other stuff. And I said, we can't pass up this opportunity. So I view myself somewhat as the accidental grantee here. We basically all helped put together the application, but I sort of acted as the front person for it. And it was very exciting to put this together. But I was reflecting on, it's been almost a year since the competition itself. And this was a competition. It was a pitch competition, national competition. You had 6 finalists, and you had to give a 3-minute pitch, first to the judges and then to a big whole room full of people. As you can probably already tell, I'm a very chatty type. So trying to reduce a pitch to 3 minutes is terrifying. But we were successful. In fact, we were the only local group of the 6 awardees. So this has just been a wonderful gift for us.
And I actually was there at the Reconstruct Challenge, and I saw you pitch, and it was amazing. It was a magnanimous experience to watch you. It was amazing too for me, because at the time I was working as an executive director of an accelerator. And so if I recall correctly, your kind of pitch was the only group that wasn't really a startup for-profit business. So tell me a little bit about how you all were able to come up with this idea and pitch it in a way that kind of allowed you to be a part of this pitch competition.
It is interesting because you're right. And I've gotten the absolute pleasure and honor of meeting other people in the cohort, the other teams that are involved with this. And there's only one other group that's somewhat similar to us, but they aren't all based here in Louisville. And again, New Directions, particularly with the leadership of our CEO, our wonderful CEO, Lori Flannery, really, really believes in collaboration, because we know as an organization, New Directions has been around for 50 years, and we have been trying to promote and create affordable housing in those 50 years. And we've done a lot of great things, but by the same token, we know that the problem is too big just for one organization. So if we really want to make an impact, the only way to do it is to collaborate. But the reality is collaboration is not speed dating. You don't just say, hey, I'm just going to collaborate with somebody, and in the next 10 minutes we'll have a finished product. And a lot of this is built on relationships that, quite frankly, date all the way back to 8th grade at Highland Middle School, when Amy and I met. And then in terms of other partners of the Housing Partnership and New Directions, Lori Flannery, our CEO, and Andrew Hawes, HPI's CEO, they had both worked at Kentucky Housing Corporation for long periods of time. And I had also, when I was in private practice as an attorney, I had represented both New Directions and HPI. So yeah, you got to have trust relationships. New relationships are great, but when the going gets tough, and it always does, you want to be able to rely on people that have your back. So again, I think that's the benefit, and we're learning. We've got a new partner in the mix in terms of Park Community Credit Union, but that also came through not a first meeting, but many meetings with Park to really figure out where it was that our interests intersected. And that's what collaboration is all about. You're not going to have exactly the same view of things. And that's a good thing, because if you had exactly the same view, everybody would just all merge and we'd all be the same. But it really takes that different element from each group, and that different talent and that different spark that can put everything together. So, I mean, I really believe that with a lot of the complex issues that we face in Louisville, and so many of them are tied to poverty, we have a lot of resources here in our community. We have a lot of good, compassionate people. And it amazes me, after just a little over 3 years in the nonprofit community, of how little we know about each other. Everybody gets in their own little silo and has, your head down on your desk, and you're just certain that you're the only Lone Ranger out there saving the world. And the answer is that's just not true. And, one thing I say a lot is, there's absolutely no reason to reinvent the wheel when, if you just look around the corner, there might be a Ferrari. So that's it. I think collaboration is really what has been the success of this endeavor. But we've now got one homeowner. Our goal was to have 75. Now we're getting there, and Amy can talk about that more. But collaboration, especially on really complex issues, is not a simple thing. And you've got to be in it for the long run.
That's so true. Amy, I want to talk a little bit about, Kitty just perfectly set that up for me. I want to hear why it's so important to get people into homes, what that does for a person, for their family, for their financial stability, for their health, like all of the things that to be true. I would love to kind of talk about that. And then how you got Jennifer in her first home, and what's the plan for getting the next 74?
Yeah, so homeownership is the primary way that we build wealth historically in this country. Unfortunately, as many of us know, there has been institutional racism and redlining practices that literally in the 1930s, a red line was drawn around primarily African American communities all over the country. And in our community, that was primarily done around the West End, around neighborhoods surrounding Churchill Downs, Newburgh. And the red line meant that you banks should not provide mortgage loans here. These are toxic assets. Very racist practice. So fast forward, and we still have seen with urban renewal and disinvestment in these particular neighborhoods, we still see a lack of affordable, accessible loan products to promote wealth building and ownership. And Portland, as you saw, where Jennifer lives, is one of the 9 neighborhoods in the west end of Louisville. And I don't know if many of you know this, but for every person in the east end of Louisville, for every 200 people in the east end of Louisville, there's a banker. And if you drive up and down Bardstown Road and through St. Matthews in the east end, you see banks everywhere. In the west end of Louisville, there's a banker for every 1,600 people. So if you don't have access to a bank, and then you might have transportation issues, or you might be a single parent and you can't access a mainstream financial institution, that means who do you have access to? You have access to predatory lenders, payday lenders, check cashers, etc. And it's very difficult to build wealth without good credit and without good access to affordable capital. So home ownership is critical, and I highly encourage any of you who are interested in this topic to read the great report from the Metropolitan Housing Coalition about the 33,000 houses that need to be owned by our Black families in town to achieve parity with our home ownership rates with white families. So one of the things that I wanted to piggyback off of what Kitty said is collaboration is critical. And for the Working Your Way Home program, the critical piece with the nonprofits that are working on this grant is the employer, is the private sector, right? So our first homeowner comes from Save a Lot in Portland, and the owner of Save a Lot, and you saw Woody, her manager from Save a Lot, they are super invested in their staff, and they knew how important getting Jennifer into home ownership so that she's not paying high rent and then not building equity and didn't have a safe place for herself and her daughter and her grandson. They knew how important it would be for her. And so what happens in the program is we sign on employers, and any employer, you could have 2 employees, you could have 10 employees, you could have 1,000 employees. And what we're doing is we are offering your employees a pathway to home ownership, particularly low income employees, right? And what we've seen in all the data, I have an asset building background, a financial empowerment background nationally. And what we see is the more empowered you are with your finances and the more satisfied you are with your ownership and your stake in life, the better, the more productive you are at work, the better employee you are. And of course, it's great for the economy because the multiplier effect of your owning something. Look at her beautiful house that you saw in the video. There's furniture, there are appliances, but she's not going to get upside down because we made sure that her mortgage is less than her rent payment was. But now she's building wealth and she has a place, a safety net. So we have Save a Lot and we have Blamers Food Services. They make chili and they're located in Old Louisville, my neighborhood. And they also make the barbecue sauces for Mark's Feed Store. If you're ever around like South 8th Street in Old Louisville, you might smell chili. That's Blamers Food Services. Awesome folks. And they have a few people that are really interested in working your way home. And I'm meeting with the employer and the interested employees next week. And then our big employer partner, whom all of you on the call will know, is FMS, Scott Collins' company, Facilities Management Services. Talk about a B Corp that walks the walk. Okay, so we meet with FMS and we tell them about this pathway to home ownership, and we have partners that provide home ownership counseling, and they're going to help build your employees' credit and make them mortgage ready, right? And then we're going to have realtors that understand the market and understand what's affordable to them, not to get them upside down. Well, Scott Collins' amazing team. By the way, he has 4 Jennifers on the senior management team. So it's like Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4. We love the Gens. So they have already found 34 employees at FMS in the Louisville location in Portland that want to participate in Working Your Way Home, because they did surveys and they had a lot of people that want to own homes, and they're thrilled to have this opportunity. And the employer puts in $2,500 of down payment assistance. The grant puts in $2,500 of down payment assistance. So there's $5,000 down that does not come from the participant in the program. Then we have these partners like the Louisville Urban League and HPI that provide homeownership counseling. Then we have other down payment assistance and closing cost programs offered by the city. So we cobble all these resources together to make this a truly impactful, successful purchase for every borrower. So I just want to say before I stop talking that for those of you on the phone, I know during these trying times where our families, particularly our low-wage families, are struggling because of COVID, our hourly workers are struggling, right? And you want to lean in and help your community. I cannot tell you a better opportunity for you to lean in than by partnering with us on Working Your Way Home, so that you have employees pursue the first path of home ownership, possibly in generations in their family. It is such a game changer, and I really want you to consider calling me, emailing me, and we will talk and make it as easy as possible for you to participate. Okay, I'm done.
One other thing that I'll say about that is that, this is a pilot program with a $300,000 grant from Access Ventures. And I think one thing that really attracted Access Ventures to our particular pilot, in addition to the fact that we're the home team, is that almost all the dollars associated with the grant, or the grand majority of them, are going to benefit the people in the program, so that our administrative costs are a very small portion of the grant. Most of the grant is set up to pay for the $2,500 for the down payment assistance and the cost of home buyer education. And this is not necessarily a simple thing. It could take folks up to 2 years to do this. It is, again, it's a process, but we want to create really good homeowners, not just, and I think we saw a lot of this during the last economic downturn in 2008 or 2009. You had people that were really renters that had a mortgage, and that's not going to work. So we're really hopeful for this program. The other thing that's great about it is that Access Ventures has offered us the opportunity, if we're successful, we have the opportunity to apply for what they call phase 2, which is additional funding up to $1 million. So that can make a big difference. And so we're hoping to attract more employers. And I think when I look at this, and this is what I said in the pitch, this is a triple win. Okay, this is obviously a win for low to moderate income folks who never even dreamed or dared to dream that they could own a home. But it's a huge win for the employer, because all of you as business owners know, whether it's good times, which is basically when this idea came into fruition, or now, you need your good employees. That's what keeps you running. And if you have an employee that you have helped to make really a life-changing decision and a life-changing event in terms of owning a home, you've probably bought loyalty for a lifetime, regardless of whether it's 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And so the other thing that it benefits is the neighborhood itself, where these homes are. So that LHOME's program, for the most part, at least right now, is focused on these West End neighborhoods, because that's where the investment needs to go. And the thing that always surprises me the most in terms of what I've learned about the geography of my own hometown here. I'm a hometown girl, but I certainly didn't know until I began working at New Directions that, and it's an estimate, there are probably somewhere between 60 and 80,000 residents living in the West End right now. And if you were to take that number of people and you were to put that on a map of Kentucky, that would be the 4th largest city in Kentucky. So that's the thing that we have to focus on. The folks in these neighborhoods, that's the greatest asset. And what we have to do is to invest in those people to make it happen. And all boats rise. That's what this program proves.
And this is a real anti-displacement strategy. When we think we're all worried about gentrification and now evictions are spiking and all kinds of bad things are happening. This invests in the residents of these historically Black neighborhoods, for example, and gives them the tools and the access to resources to own homes. It's not about creating housing that's not affordable for the residents of the neighborhoods and importing folks from the East End into those neighborhoods. I'm really happy about that. And everything that LHOME does is very intentional about working with the community members and residents. We do small business lending, and we're doing this program, and we'll get into home mortgage lending down the road. But it's all about investing in the residents, asking them what they need, what they want first, because look at my face, I don't know what everybody needs, right? And then putting the community members together with us and say, how can we solve these hard problems? So it's really exciting.
That's so amazing. I mean, I think oftentimes we as educated people, like we want to help so much, but we end up hurting people in the process of it. Like we just hurt ourselves to death or help ourselves to death almost. And so the idea of like holistically caring for a community by asking them what they need is so important. And, I worked for Google Fiber when they were here, and I was handling the community impact portion of that. And I spent a lot of time in Portland and a lot of time in Newburgh. And what I came to see was that the community had been so taken advantage of for so long by so many different groups, by nonprofits, by the government, by corporations, by literally everyone, that like their trust has been completely deteriorated. And so by asking, what do you need? What do you want? What do you dream about? What are, what is most important to you? By listening, like building that trust is so important, and going slow, kind of how you were talking earlier, Kitty, about collaboration, that you have to be in it for the long haul. There's been so much damage done that it's like we have to go slow, and we have to show up day in and day out and be that constant, because otherwise it's broken. So I really think that what you do is just amazing and so important. And I'm so grateful that you guys have been so committed to this work. So thank you. One of the things that we ask on our Canopy Cafe is, what do you all believe the definition of good business is? And you can both answer.
I'll start. I mean, I worked on Wall Street, and I come from the private sector. In 2000, I jumped into the not-for-profit sector, and it has really been good for my heart and my soul and my spirit. But I do think good business as a leader is around, taking care of your people and making sure that your people are doing self-care, and that you're not contributing to diseased people because you're burdening them so much with too much work and too much stress. So I think taking care of your staff and making sure that they have a healthy work environment is so important. And then I think that taking care of for us, it's our borrowers, your clients, your customers, the same way, making sure that your products help versus harm them, that they're priced well, and that you can still make a profit, but you don't have to make a killing, so that you can help your clients and have a really good ethic around that. Those would be two things I would share.
Well, of course, that's hard. That's a hard act to follow. But I also came. I was a commercial real estate attorney for 30 years, although affordable housing was sort of my specialty. And, I got the pleasure about 3 years ago of sort of diving into this work. And I still believe that the good business is about being a good person, being a good company that people trust. So much of, I think when anybody looks at their list of customers or their list of clients, there's a trust relationship there. And why is that trust there? Is because you do what you said you were going to do. And that's not always easy. And sometimes you're not going to please everybody all the time. That's impossible. But doing the right thing is also doing the right thing from a business standpoint. I think that's what turns people off in society today, is that you have people in theory saying one thing and then you look at their actions and they don't match up. And it all seems to be about me, 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 me. And, I spent a lot of time in very complicated real estate transactions. I've closed $1 billion transaction, and it was the most hollow thing I could ever think of. I just think you got to have some heart in it. And that's what makes good leaders. That's what makes good business people.
Man, those are really good answers. You all are very, very articulate, brilliant woman, just kicking ass in the West End and helping people rise up. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing and coming on the show today and being part of our Thursday. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for the
Thank
invitation.
you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so if people are interested in learning more, where should they find you?
So our website is www.lhomeky.org. You can email us at info@lhomeky.org. We're on Facebook at LHOME CDFI. We're on LinkedIn, and we're on Twitter at LHOME CDFI. I think those are where we are right now. We really need to be on Instagram. So for those of you who have that expertise and you want to lean in and be helpful, help us get on Instagram, please.
New Directions is also on Facebook. And we can certainly be reached online at www.ndhc.org. And one thing I haven't mentioned, because it really hasn't centered on this, our core business is in property management, so that we own and manage and have the honor of 913 families that call our properties home. So the only thing we wish is that we had triple that, quadruple that, if not more, because, and we're hearing it everywhere, the housing shortage in Louisville, and it's no different of whether you're in Louisville, Kentucky, or Campbellsville, Kentucky, or Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Monkey's Eyebrow, Kentucky. And there actually is a town named that. There's critical shortage of affordable housing. Lots and lots of people, whether they consider themselves low to moderate income or whether they're more middle income, are extremely cost burdened when it comes to payment of the rent or the mortgage or whatever. And we have to do a better job in this world of creating a place where people can live. And that's, I think what I've found over the last 3 years is housing, if you're just looking at the bricks and sticks, is not terribly sexy. Everybody sort of yawns. But it's not about the bricks and sticks. It's about the people in those bricks and sticks. And we have to find ways to give people a hand up. And if you look at Jennifer Elliott that we started this with, that's exactly what we did here. We didn't give her a handout. She had to do all the hard work associated with this. And it is hard work. But we gave her a hand up, and now she's got ownership where she never thought she was going to have ownership. Mm-hmm. Everybody deserves a chance like that. And for those of us that have been blessed, we take so much for granted that other people don't have. And how hard is it to reach out to somebody and give them a hand up? I hope it's not very hard.
Preach, sister. I mean, I continue to listen to you both. You are serving all of the important vibes this morning. And this hasn't been an easy year for a lot of people, whether it be for medical reasons, for losing a job, financial, being evicted. Like, it's been a really, really challenging year for people. And I think that you all have such a message of hope in this time, that there are people like you, wonderful women warriors, that are saying, hey, let's give a hand up. Let's be there. There are people here still fighting the good fight for those that have been left behind. And it's so great to be able to start this Thursday morning with you talking about what can be possible, what is possible, rather than the other. So thank you guys so much.
Our pleasure.
Please keep us up to date on what's happening, because I know our viewers and I know I want to hear about all the magic that's happening. So we'll have you back on the show, hopefully, when you've gotten that $1 million to keep
That's
going.
right.
Right?
Sounds great.
We need that. We get that $1 million.
Okay, super.
Well, bye, Kitty. Bye, Amy. Thanks for spending your morning
Thanks,
with us.
Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks.
All right. Well, I promised that we had some other updates to share. This afternoon, today at 12 p.m. noon, we are hosting the Beyond 27 event. We are celebrating all of the work that happened to the 27 campaign. We have a featured speaker with Representative Charles Booker, and our amazing local town hero, James Lindsay, is going to be hosting. So please come and join in. We have a few spots left on our Zoom webinar, and Facebook, you can watch it live there as well. So come and join in and be a part of that. I'm actually wearing one of our 27 campaign t-shirts that was created by a local female artist, Nico Meredith, that says "Good business is anti-racist." We would love to be able to get everyone one, so you can find those and still purchase them. There's another t-shirt as well that's made by another local artist, Nick from Hound Dog Press. Check those out as well. We hope to see you all again this afternoon at the event. And then if not, we'll be back next week with the Canopy Cafe. Thank you so much and have a great day.